Hello, I'm Jonasz Lewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you all you need to know. Russia has commenced the first phase of its tactical nuclear forces drills. The exercises will see troops train using Iskander and Kinjal systems. Tactical nuclear weapons are short-range platforms capable of striking targets up to 500 kilometers away. These are the weapons so eagerly championed by the Kremlin's TV mouthpieces like Solovyov. Those of you following us for some time will definitely remember the many times he has threatened using tactical nukes on Western Europe. Now, according to the Russian Ministry of Aggression, called the Ministry of Defense for some strange reason, the drills are intended to maintain personal readiness to ensure the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the Russian Empire, that is, Federation. The ministry also believes that they are a response to what Moscow officials have called provocatory statements and threats from some Western countries aimed at the Russian Federation. That's all according to an official statement issued by the ministry, and trust us, that was quite a hard read. Putin's a different case. He was brought up on Soviet nonsense and alternative history spun by the regime. And now, he's talking up Belarus's involvement in this whole nuclear drill circus. What a duo. A monkey with a razor next to a girl lighting matches at a gas station, one could say.
Поскольку на территории Беларуси размещено нестратегическое ядерное оружие, то мы в этот раз предложили нашим друзьям, союзникам, да и президент Беларуси об этом просил, принять участие в одном из этапов этого учения. Мы их проводим регулярно. В этот раз они проводятся в 3 этапа. На втором этапе белорусские коллеги подключатся к нашим совместным действиям. Соответствующие указания Министерством обороны и генеральным штабам наших армий дано. Они начали совместную подготовку.
If you're involving Lukashenko, you might as well also ask Steven Seagal for help. Like, he is the sort of Soviet Chuck Norris. He can just run around punching and kicking. He's gonna be more powerful than any nukes. Not. And we didn't have to wait long for a response from the comrades over the North Korea, by the way. If Belarus is the monkey with a razor in this analogy, we're struggling with finding a proper term for Pyongyang. Comrade Kim, who does not seem like a man in control of his urges, has now announced that North Korea is raising its nuclear deterrence alert levels over the recent actions of, you guessed it, the United States. And yes, of course, it's the United States that keep threatening the planet with nuclear war, and every American has a launch site in their backyard. Just next to the entrance to the basement where they keep little Korean kids imprisoned, probably. What a crock of malarkey. Now, Russian TV star Vyacheslav Manucharov has recently demonstrated just how low Russian imperialists have stooped. In a recent appearance, he said, with no hint of shame, that the war in Ukraine is a net benefit, as it will help cleanse the world, and that he's happy to live in a time of war.
Вообще благодарен судьбе, что я живу, отвечая на вопрос, страшно мне или не страшно, я рад, что во время моей жизни выпала специальная военная операция, потому что те чаяния, которые были у меня там всегда в жизни, да, и надежды, вот они как бы с началом спецоперации, знаете, как вот дождь прошел, какая-то лавина, сразу все стали теми, кем они есть на самом деле. Я думаю, что это очищение для мира вообще в принципе, но и для России в частности 100%. Мы видим это в каждой части индустрии.
So now, cleansing the world, that sounds like something strayed out of the Third Reich's playbook. Also, he's saying he's happy to live at a time of the special military operation, probably because he's not threatened. Imagine if Ukrainian drones started just zipping around his house, he would say, no, help me. And I mean, it depends on your perspective, right? If you're sitting comfortably in a studio somewhere in Moscow, yeah, you might say you're happy to live at a time of war. You're not even calling it a war. Print out the guy's picture, by the way. It's going to be an excellent target for darts practice. Now, let's move on to the headquarters of an organization we don't have a good opinion on, the United Nations. But it's more than just a general dislike. We believe that it's a costly and unwieldy piece of furniture in the international order, an accessory to Solovyov, but one costing billions of dollars. Yeah, I know it's harsh, but sorry. In a recent show of just how divorced from reality it can be, the United Nations held a moment of silence for the bloody criminal that was the president of Iran. Let's hear an opinion about that from someone who's had personal experience with the policies of the Tehran regime.
You so correctly. The UN Security Council dedicated a moment of silence in memory of the mass murdering president of Iran, Raisi. What a disgrace. This council, which has taken no real steps to advance the release of our hostages, bowed its head for a man responsible for massacring and murdering thousands in Iran, in Israel, and around the globe. What's next? Will the Council dedicate a moment of silence to commemorate Hitler? The Security Council has become a threat to global peace and security.
Strong words, but you may probably remember just how Russia was able to virtually render this organization toothless. I mean, Russia is on the UN Security Council, and Russia is waging a genocidal war in Ukraine. Now that should tell you everything you need to know about the UN. And now, time to see what happens once Russian evil is simply allowed to fester unchecked. Recently, the Russian ambassador to the UN, Vasily Nebenzia, has said that without Western assistance, the conflict in Ukraine, as he called it, would have ended faster. So, let's take a look at what he had to say.
Не пытались западные спонсоры Киева представить свою помощь как вклад в самооборону Украины для любого незаангажированного, да и просто думающего человека очевидно, что без их вредоносного вмешательства конфликт давно бы уже закончился, а точнее сказать, никогда бы не начался. Ведь Россия и Украина братские народы, таковыми они и останутся и после того, как прекратит свое существование марионеточный киевский режим. Не случайно миллионы украинцев сбежали от него именно в Россию и чувствуют себя в нашей стране в полной безопасности.
Now, the worst, most cynical part of his remarks was him saying that the Russian and Ukrainian peoples are brothers and will remain so after the war ends. Really? After all the massacres, missile and drone strikes targeting civilian infrastructure, after all the kidnapped children and other horrors we've all seen unfolding on Ukrainian soil, Nebenzia still felt comfortable saying something like that. Our question is, what is Russia still doing in the UN? Why hasn't it been, expelled? What else will the world allow Russia to do? And we all know that if it's Russia, it's unlikely to be doing anything good. At any particular time, in any particular moment, it's probably up to no good. Probably thinking about aggression, attacks, annexation, and so on. It does provide inadvertently comical content for our show, sure, but other than that, yeah, exactly, nothing good at all. And, as always, we bring you a little dose of Russian cringe. This time, it's a video drawing by an artist couple from Rostov-on-Don, Georgy and Anastasia Begma. And this time, they were calling on Ukrainian soldiers to reach out to Russia for help? Now, in the end of the video, you can see a sign saying "Call Volga." According to the Russians, Volga is the name of a frequency that the Russian armed forces have opened for Ukrainian servicemen who want to surrender but do not dare over the fear for their lives. Yeah, right. Some war correspondents are saying that Volga is used as a universal radio call that signals the willingness to surrender. But before you start to believe in all this nonsense, a little reminder: Russians don't ask the Ukrainians to surrender. They just kill them outright. We've seen so many videos showing exactly that happening on the front lines. Russians executing defenseless Ukrainians. And with this, we end this episode of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.